dialogues and create awareness within the communities. So we have clients who walk in.
While appearing before the Parliament Committee on Human Rights, officials from African Center for Treatment and Rehabilitation of Torture Victims raised concerns over ongoing acts of torture against Ugandans.
Sometimes our officers do not have the skills to effectively investigate some of these cases. So their capacity needs to be built to be able to have the skills to be able to effectively investigate. And why am I talking about that? Because the majority of the perpetrators are by security agencies.
Samuel Herbert Nsubuga, the Chief Executive Officer of the Center, says they receive over 1,000 cases of torture annually and that in 2020 they treated and rehabilitated more than 900 victims.
We would like the Parliament of Uganda to appropriate more resources towards the investigation agencies, the police in general, but in particular the Criminal Investigation Department, because this helps them to investigate better with better trained human resource. Detectives are trained. They use the fingerprint data bank. They liaise with NIRA. They use DNA to do their work so that all the crimes, most of the crimes can be solved without having the issues of having to resort to torture to extract confessions.
Nsubuga now wants Parliament to increase for agencies that investigate acts of torture and to pass the Witness Protection Bill of 2014.
We encourage the Parliament of Uganda to pass the Witness Protection Bill into law. This Witness Protection Law would help the witnesses to torture occurrences to come out openly, to point out the perpetrators of torture because they will be protected.
According to Esther Nawire, the head of programs at the African Center for Treatment and Rehabilitation for Torture Victims, courts have failed to punish perpetrators of torture.
Well, one thing you realize about our court system, we have the civil and we have the criminal. So we have seen that emphasis has been put on the civil, part of it. And this entails a compensation for torture or for the violence that has been meted out on the victim. However, we are more interested in criminal prosecution, where the perpetrators of the crime will be held accountable.
Now, members of Parliament sitting on the Committee on Human Rights want the organization to come up with a report and a list of torture victims who have received from them.
Give us a specific time frame when you started noticing these very large numbers. But 1,000 cases per year translates to almost 100 cases in a month.
We don't think that it's only the funds which brings torture. It's maybe lack of moral, lack of will, which brings about the torture.
Uganda has for long been on the spot over human rights abuses. These have been identified as alleged torture, violence, intimidation, and restricted access to internet. Story compiled by Sarah Nakandi for CTV, PM Edition.